Welcome to another episode of Sibling Showdown, the best ball edition. I'm your host, Meg. You can follow me on Twitter at Megs08DFS, and I'm joined by my brother, Steve. You can follow him at SteveOSpeak on Twitter. And as we will every single week here on the FanSpeak Network, we are doing a live draft. And this week, we are drafting the newly released Puppy 2 on Underdog. So, Steve, you ready to rip a puppy?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I was looking back before we got started, Steve, and we again, please like this episode, subscribe to the FanSpeak Network. You'll be notified when new shows go live. We have strategy shows each week, live draft shows each week, and it'll be more and more as the summer progresses. Also, check out our content over on FanSpeak. We have tons of articles each and every week as well. So tons of articles on FanSpeak. Tons of shows here on the FanSpeak Network all summer long, strategy and live draft. So be sure to check that out. But, today, Steve, literally just this morning, they released the Puppy 2, which is a $5 buy-in. And, of course, it has, the tournament structure. But it also, this is one of the first ones outside of the BBM, that has, of course, the BBM 4 on Underdog has a regular season prize pool. This is one of their first other tournaments on Underdog that has a regular season prize pool. So why don't you talk about that a little, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, so kind of similar to the BBM, though not as deep.
Yeah,
but
right.
You do get, I believe it's top 100 players who finish the first 14 weeks do get a regular season prize. So just some extra value there if you're near the top, and in case you have a bad run out in the playoffs. Teams last year obviously was like Jalen Hurts and stuff like that, where the team's near the top and clearly they weren't able to close out.
Right.
So it's nice to just have that out where you can get a little back, and it could all, you could have the great run out and get both. So that's fun as well.
Right, absolutely. So anyways, and it has this one has a very nice, I think, tournament prize structure as far as the advance rates. That's, every time a new tournament is released, it's good to look at, obviously, just like how many, this is a 150 max tournament, but the, advance rates, the payout structure, it's a decently flat payout, not super as top heavy as some of the other ones. So yeah, I really like this tournament on Underdog, and I'm excited to do it live on stream. And so I'm going to pull over Underdog right now. And, we'll jump in and the lobby, and then we can just talk through our strategy. If you look back, we have already drafted on Underdog specifically. We've already drafted the Puppy 1 and the BBM 4. I'm sure we'll be doing many more BBM 4s on stream this summer. And then, of course, as these tournaments are released on Underdog, we'll be drafting those on stream too. So go back and check out those. We talked through Underdog strategy, and we'll be talking through Underdog strategy, obviously, as we go through this. But be sure, if you are new to Underdog, use code FANSPEAK. You get a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. So deposit 100, get 100. That's $200 for a Puppy, BBM 4, and all sorts of other great tournaments. So I'm going to go over there now, get into a draft. I might need to make this a little smaller just so I can see, Steve. Let me see. Just trying to get the sizing right. Can you see everything okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So we are currently waiting for it to fill. And then we will kind of talk to our strategy, because, really, Steve, right, you kind of have to see what your draft pick is, decide what you want to do with that first pick, and then you can kind of adopt the draft strategy you want moving forward from there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as we've talked before, we like wide receivers in the first round, but there are a couple spots where running backs just are the better position, and
right.
And that will dictate how you approach the next rounds. So,
right.
Yeah. Looks like we got the 8th spot.
Yeah. So it's going to start in 45 seconds. We have the 8th spot. Yeah. To Steve's point, I typically like either Kelsey or receiver first round, and I really love the running backs in the second or third round range. I think we have done that in our past drafts. So, actually, one of our drafts we did get McCaffrey. He will obviously not be available to us at pick 8, but The one thing I will say, and we're going to talk about this in strategy shows as we wait for the draft to start, is I think it's important to, not only diversify your portfolio of players, but diversify if you're doing a lot of entries, diversify your strategies. We have seen over 3 years of best ball, all different strategies, zero RB, hero RB, double hero RB, hyperfrat. They've all worked at some level, different ones, different years. And then some work better in the regular season, some work better in the playoffs. So diversify your different strategies. And, I think it's important to figure that out after we do this first pick. So what are you thinking here as the draft gets started? What do you like at the 8th spot? That's not my favorite pick. I'm going to be clear. 6 through 10 is not my favorite. I either like the top 3 or 4, or like just being at the bottom turn. So what do you like here? It is going fast. We've got Jefferson, obviously McCaffrey, Chase off the board first. So what do you like at the 8th spot?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're likely looking at like a Kelsey, Bijan, Diggs, AJ Brown. Those are the kind of guys right there. If we are going
I haven't taken much Bijan yet. Do you like Bijan over Eckler 1-for-1? I still like
Eckler. I mean, I think there's a strong case for it. Eckler's, he's up there. The touches have added up, and if he ever loses any of that end zone role, which when Melvin Gordon was there, he did not have, and
Bijan just went. We're up in. Bijan just went. We're up in 1. Now we're up. It went Bijan, AJ Brown. We are up. Travis Kelce's there. That's honestly hard. My pick would be Kelce or Eckler. I'll let you decide.
Yeah. I mean, I like Diggs just as much, but Kelce is Kelce. So
I like Diggs, but first round he has got more. Kelce's just an absolute goat. And even if they do get DeAndre Hopkins, any concerns if they get DeAndre Hopkins? Let's just talk through that quickly.
No, I don't think Kelce's role changes that drastically. I think DeAndre Hopkins will obviously take and probably exceed what Juju did last year. And I just think it pulls from, any upside that Tony or Rice or Moore or any of those other guys would have.
Okay, so we are coming up at the 17th spot. In our last draft, this is coming quick. We have gotten Mahomes with Kelce. I'd like to do one showing what you can do without forcing the Mahomes stack. And that's a little early. Quarterbacks are starting to go a little later, so we'd be reaching a little bit, essentially. I don't have a problem with that, especially when it correlates for stacks. But we have done 2 other drafts, this live drafts, I believe, one on Drafters, one on DraftKings, where we did got Kelce and then stacked him up with Mahomes. Let's try one without. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you like here?
I like Saquon or Garrett Wilson.
Okay. Let's see. I really love the third. Okay, Saquon just went. So with the 17th pick, which is falling past his ADP, I kind of like Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that, let's go back to the board so I can see. Okay, I have a little break here. I'm having problems scrolling. Let me see if I can make this a little bit. Can you still see it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just harder for me to scroll and get a good picture, but I still want you guys to be able to see. Okay, so Chubb and Barkley went right before our pick. We had interest there, obviously, but so with them gone, we took Garrett Wilson. Then it went Hurts, Waddle, Mahomes went at 20. To our point, the quarterbacks are still going, but more like late second, early third. Pollard, Olave, Higgins, and now we're at the 2-3 turn. So at the 2-3 turn, let's kind of see what happens here. Then we'll jump back and talk through strategies of what we do. I love running backs in the 3rd, 4th round too. We did just get Jacobs went off the board. But let's take a look. These couple rounds are loaded with guys I love. Ramondre Stevenson, Breece Hall, Najee Harris. A little further down in like the 4th or 5th round, Kenneth Walker. Then a little further down like that too. So kind of, we've got one stud receiver, one stud tight end. What about grabbing a stud running back here in
Najee just went. That's
okay. So we just slot. Yeah, we got Jacobs, Breece Hall, Najee all went. All guys I love. We're 2 picks away. I'd say if Stevenson is still there, I'd grab it. If not, I'd like to wait for Kenneth Walker. If that's the case, then who are your favorite?
Calvin Ridley, then Cooper.
Do any of those bye weeks conflict with Garrett Wilson? No.
No.
And then I'm going to queue him up. Okay, so let's see what he does. Would you say if he took Ridley, so would you take Ramondre here?
Yeah. Okay. I think Ramondre is in line for a big role.
Okay. All right. Well, I kind of like that. Very balanced to start it out. Again, in other drafts this summer, we've definitely done the Kelsey Mahomes stack, but being at the ace spot, we didn't force it. So we went Ramondre, Garrett Wilson, Kelsey. Don't worry, we'll still find our quarterback. Let's take a look at the board really quick just to kind of give perspective. So we're coming back up at pick 41. So at pick 41, Walker's fallen, so that's a little early there. But then when would we be up again for we're pick 41, pick 56. So I don't think Walker would. So I'm very bullish on Kenneth Walker, but like a pick 56, you could target like a J.K. Dobbins or Miles Sanders too. So let's see, coming up in about 5 picks, DeAndre Hopkins, who is currently a free agent, but we're waiting to see where he lands. My favorite picks in this range are DeAndre Hopkins and Mike Williams. Who would be your favorites?
Hopkins obviously is a little risky with us having Kelsey.
That he could go to, if he goes to Kansas City.
I'd probably prefer Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and Jerry Jeudy, especially with having Kelsey. But yeah.
Okay, we are up in 3 picks. Would you agree 41 too early to reach for Walker? Just probably then target one of these running backs, Sanders or Dobbins, the next round and go for. Now I will say if let's see. Well, both Jeudy and Williams are available. We'll see what happens at this pick. So Jeudy just went. Do you want to go Mike Williams at this pick?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what is Herbert's ADP? 53. I know I like those running backs. I do like Miles Sanders and J.K. Dobbins, but I'm also very bullish on Herbert. And quite honestly, don't think I have enough of him yet. So I know you talked me through a draft that you did yesterday with a Williams Herbert stack, and I was just absolutely enamored by the draft. So if it worked out, I think a Herbert, Williams, Garrett Wilson, Kelsey, Ramondre stack is an amazing start. What do you think?
No, I agree. I mean, I think obviously, he could easily get sniped. Somebody could do like Keenan Allen and him.
We're still 9 picks away. So, I'd say if he gets sniped, we just stick with the plan with the running backs and look at other quarterbacks later. We have multiple shows where we drafted Lawrence. We were very high on Lawrence. But there's some guys in that, another tier down that I'm totally fine with too. And then you can kind of backload the stacks as well. So don't have a problem with that. Justin Fields just went. Take a look at the board this way. Can you see it okay on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's see. Basically, we're playing a waiting game here to see if Herbert is available. If Herbert's available, we're going to take him with pick 56. If Herbert is not available, then we will take a running back. Kenneth Walker, a guy I really like, did just go. So we got 4 picks left, and then
it's likely the team in front of us that has Keenan Allen.
Yep. He's probably going to get taken by the team in front of us. They have Jalen Hurts, so
yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe we'll get lucky. That would be a lot of quarterback equity to put in, but you never know. We'll see.
That could work out.
We'll see. Okay, so T.J. Hawkinson, a couple tight ends just went. Godwin up in 2. Come on, Herbert. Let's fall to us here. I meant to look if this guy this person has a quarterback.
He doesn't have a quarterback.
Or excuse, oh, yes, he doesn't. I can see that now. Okay, Lockett. Okay, don't take Herbert, and then we're set. Okay, Pittman, good. We are getting our Justin Herbert stack, and I absolutely love this start. How many picks do we have to break here? Okay, we are up in like 7 or 8 picks at pick 65. After that pick, I'll kind of read where we're at. So what do you want to do here at pick 65? Steve, obviously, if any of these running backs fell, I'd have a ton of
Yeah,
interest. I don't
I'd
know
add
that they
I'd
will.
add Damian Pierce in the mix.
Yeah. Oops. I don't mind Joe Mixon
Yeah,
either.
Joe Mixon there is fine.
I mean, I like all 4 of these running backs. I think, getting the second running back here. So what round are we in right now?
We're going to enter the 6th round.
6th round. Again, I do love Hayden Winks of Underdog Network's tip about really trying to get 4 receivers by the 8th round. But even if we grabbed a running back here, we could still hammer the running back receiver position the next, couple rounds, because it does dry up after that. If these, for some reason, there was a massive run and all 4 of these guys were gone, which receivers do you like? Honestly, I like a lot of these guys. I mean, I'm not going to mark Tony because we already have Kelsey, so, and we don't have Mahomes, so marked off a lot. I mean, do you have a strong preference of receiver, running back here? I mean, again, I think I'm leaning just because how much I love these 3 running backs that are still available. Joe Mixon just went off the board. I'm leaning that, but you could definitely make a case for these receivers too. Again, if we do go running back, let me just say that then I want to hammer the receiver position to make sure that we have 4 by the 8th round, through the 8th round. So, thoughts from you?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that we could wait one more round for the next running back, because then you're looking at guys like,
Akers,
Akers, James Conner. I mean, it just blows my mind that people are not taking James Conner. He was so good at the end of last year when he literally had Trace McSorley at quarterback. There's no competition there. Like, he should be going well above what he's going right now. So,
I don't have enough J.K. Dobbins. What's your?
Yeah, no,
He has literally fallen almost 10 picks past ADP.
I like
And
Dobbins.
this is what's happened. Running backs, people are grabbing receivers. Running backs are falling. Then you just have to be sharp about your receivers. Again, we're going to pivot right back to the receiver position. It's up in 14 picks, but through 6 rounds. Let's see. Through 6 rounds, we have 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 1 tight end. Pretty balanced. But again, through 8 rounds, I do want to get those 4 receivers through 8 rounds. I do like that, because then the receiver position gets to a point where I just think it dries up pretty bad, and then I'd rather just then tap back to the receiver position later in the draft. So we're up again at pick 80 and 89. Kind of looking at receivers, because I highly doubt that these guys are obviously going to fall to us. But obviously Dotson is a guy we love. Gabe Davis, Brandon Cooks. But this guy's our 3rd receiver. So who else would you mark off here, for kind of receivers 3 and 4?
Yeah, I know we just took a Raven, but Rashard Bateman.
Love Bateman this season. Agreed. What's your
you
take on the Sutton situation? I know that's going to be, I think, past.
So far a trade hasn't materialized. I kind of doubt one will. I think Denver, unlike say the Buccaneers, could very well be in contention. I think he's,
Dotson just went. They're smart. Yeah, a lot of obviously the guys we marked off, went with. Let's see. Scroll down and see a lot of the guys we liked, like Deontay Johnson, Pickens, Addison, Dotson, Gabe Davis did go. So we need to keep marking them, because we need to grab 2 here fairly back to back. We're up in 2. We have Brandon Cooks and Bateman marked. So would you lean Brandon Cooks first?
Yeah.
Okay. does have the same bye week as Garrett Wilson, but I think we just don't then get many more receivers with that bye. So
Yeah.
Okay, up in 8. Go ahead.
We could get lucky that Bateman is there for us. In
That would
8
be
picks. So
excellent if that happens.
if not, I think Cortland Sutton is a fine 4th receiver option.
We're
Juju.
up at pick 89. So I don't want to go.
We could look at also if receiver dries up, because this is an area where you're relying on like rookies who might be 3rd options on their team, like Quentin Johnson or Zay Flowers, or Michael Thomas, who's just, it's been so many years since we've seen anything from him that, we could take a 3rd running back here and just, that be the flex plan. There's guys, like I said, James Conner, David Montgomery. I know some people are really hyping Madison, but those are guys.
The Madison hype is if you think Dalvin Cook gets moved and his ADP will jump. It doesn't make as much sense, honestly, just in the puppy as it does, because you're not going to get the closing line ADP value that you would get in something like the BBM 3-4. Just a quick point, but I'm hoping like hell that Rashad Bateman is still there. So it went the 2 rookies, Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers, Rashad White, Alexander Madison, here in the 8th round. And we'll see what this person does. And then he didn't. I'm taking Rashad Bateman. Excuse me?
He took Connor.
Yep. So we accomplished my goal at 14 picks. We can kind of regroup here. We accomplished my goal of getting 4 picks through 8 rounds, which I do think is important because I'm sorry, but look at, I know Jameson Williams, obviously, when he comes back from suspension, is an attractive target, but he's out for the first 6 weeks. Alan Lazard but we already have Garrett Wilson. But this range is not a range I like. I don't like this being my 3rd or 4th receiver. So that is why I do believe in getting 4 receivers through the 8 rounds. We accomplished that while still getting, in my mind, a borderline hero quarterback in Herbert, a hero tight end in Kelsey. So I definitely think we can just go 2 tight ends. So again, with 10 picks to go, quick look: 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 4 receivers, 1 tight end. Love it so far with Herbert, Ramondre Stevenson, J.K. Dobbins, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams stacked with Herbert, Brandon Cooks, Rashad Bateman, and Travis Kelsey. So love where we're at right here. Again, we're coming up in 8 picks, and I do not love this range of receiver unless you wanted to, target some of the guys we just mentioned. What other running backs, or if you just wanted to grab a 2nd tight end and be done, do you like it?
It's not worth it to take a tight end here. They're not going to, unless Kelsey gets injured, they're not going to play most weeks. So,
right. Yeah. So when you have a Kelsey, you're really just looking for then that 2nd tight end to just fill in his bye week and fill in a couple of spike weeks. So we basically just need a non-bye week 10 tight end, that can be much later. So, again, I queued up a couple of receivers. Don't love them. Running back, I go to Brian Robinson, obviously, a lot in this range. Who else do you like in this range?
AJ Dillon. I think.
Speak on that really quick, and then we got to.
I just think he's got the touchdown role on this team, and Aaron Jones got a lot of his value with Aaron Rodgers. So that. Well, I don't think he's a terrible fantasy play. I just think Jones is the one who's likely to, just being older, is likely to see the regression where.
Right, and it's important to mention we're touchdown hunting on Underdog, so a lot of touchdown equity for Dillon. So let's look at our running back bye weeks are 11 and 13. Obviously, too early to feel like we need to tap back on quarterback, correct? I mean, though you could, do Rodgers if you wanted to. Okay, Brian Robinson was taken. Did you want to take Dillon?
Go Dillon. Yeah.
You like Dillon here? Okay, and doesn't have any bye week conflicts either. Okay, so bye weeks. I'm just going to take a quick look here. Where are we coming up again at? So we're coming up again at pick 113 and 128. I know we have like a borderline hero quarterback, Steve, but if Rodgers was there, what are your thoughts on just having that secondary Garrett Wilson Rodgers stack available to us?
Yeah, I don't mind that, particularly then I think that really allows you to just only do two
Yeah,
quarterbacks.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, basically the way you and I usually play it is, if you get a hero quarterback, you can do two. If you don't, you have to kind of cobble together more quantity over quality and do three. And then I typically, honestly, and I know people don't love this take, they say, oh, if a quarterback gets injured, my line's dead. Well, Dak got injured on my VVM3 lineup last year for 5 weeks, and if I didn't have three quarterbacks, I wasn't going to make it. So I think I wouldn't have even made the playoffs. So I do think in certain circumstances, if if you draft a really kind of more injury prone or quarterback, I don't think there's anything wrong if you want to take like a late round flyer, just insurance policy quarterback situation here. So okay, if Aaron Rodgers is taken, we have 2 picks to go. Geno Smith just went. I still hate this. I hate this receiver range. Though Tyler Boyd, obviously is targeting a top offense, so that would be kind of one of the only ones that I like there.
it would be the third week 7 receiver.
Gotcha. Any? I know we already have.
We're up.
Oh, we're up. Oh, good. Okay, Boyd went. We're up. Let's take Rodgers then, right? Okay, and definitely doesn't. Yeah, by week 5 for Herbert, by week 7 for Rodgers. So, we have put ourselves in a position to do just with 14 picks away to do just 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends because we got Herbert and Rodgers and because we got Travis Kelce, which gives us a lot more flexibility. So I really like the way this team's shaping up. Any thoughts as we have a 13 pick break here, and then we'll queue up more and all.
Yeah, no, I think we can also really wait at tight end. Like, maybe look at a Jared Everett or below, but that's like 4 rounds from now. And if we don't get Jared Everett, no big deal. I mean, there's any number of guys late that, like you said, Kelce, we just need a body.
So body first bye week, and maybe there's another down week or two that maybe the guy will. But honestly, Kelce is such a solid floor usually that. So okay, so it'll be 128 and 137. That will be.
I think ideally we. I wouldn't mind taking a 4th running back here because then we could even stop at 5 if need be.
Oh, I usually stop at 5, honestly, unless I do like a full-on 0 RB. I usually stop at 5. So let's queue up some running backs. Just while you were mentioning it, before I forget, I just want to queue up where Gerald Everett's at, just to keep an eye on it, because I do like that call. Obviously his bye week doesn't conflict. I queued up a couple receivers I like, but you mentioned getting like a 4th running back, and then that just puts us in a position where then we can just kind of take a late flyer then with our 5th. But who do you like in this range? We still have 6 picks to go. So
yeah, I mean, Jamal Williams, McKinnon are good options. I think Mostert.
I mean, Mostert, Bigsby, though we're getting way past ADP there, so that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I think the only ones we'd be looking at here at pick, if we did want to go running back at pick 128, would be Jamal Williams, because other than that, we'd be massively reaching. What's that?
I said McKinnon just went.
Right, yeah, and Jamal Williams just went. So quick pivot here. I'm not reaching for Bigsby or Mostert. I think you can double down on Rashid Rice and get to Kansas City, even though you don't have. And I like Michael Gallup too.
Honestly, I like Gallup better than Rashid Rice.
But just because you don't know the role if Hopkins. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we've talked about on these shows, we've talked about on strategy shows, on these live draft shows, we're very bullish on the Dallas offense in general. So I like, just getting a piece of that Dallas offense. So.
Yeah. So
again, we talked about
the third week 7, but we're going to take at least 8 receivers. So.
Right. Let me just that was a great point about the third week 7 bye. You do want to be cognizant of buys so that you don't have a terrible week. That could hurt your chances for playoffs. And the most important, you can't make it to week 17 if you don't make playoffs. So great point on that. We will not take any more week 7 receivers for sure. We are up in 5 picks, but I wanted to say, go back and watch a show that we did about just targeting top offenses. I think that's important, or top offense that you're, kind of bullish on becoming a top offense this year. And I think we are accomplishing that with the Chargers, Jets, Ravens, Dallas. I think I really like that. We do have 2 Dallas receivers. Do you find that to be a problem?
No, we're up. I'd cue Alec Pierce.
We're not up yet.
We're up in 1 pick.
Okay, right. Okay, then we'll talk through stuff after this. I mean, I love Rashid Rice. You'd rather go Alec Pierce over Rashid Rice? He's fallen 7 picks past ADP.
I know, but you have a real chance that there's a chance now that he's a 0. Like if Hopkins goes there, he could be a 0 guy because he's going to be a 0 guy. He could be behind Hopkins, MVS, Tony.
I'll take Pierce and go with you, but I like if I was doing
Rice also, but I need him.
I don't need that certainty. That's when you draft now. That's why he's falling. He's a value that's fallen. So, to me, you're drafting now. It's risky drafting now. There are things that we don't know, and we have to hypothesize and speculate. And sure, if Hopkins goes there, his role may not be as secure, but wouldn't he, just out of curiosity, just to talk this through for the people, wouldn't he be working a much different role than Hopkins? Hopkins would work the X receiver. Wouldn't he be playing the slot in that Juju role?
Not necessarily. I think they have a lot of guys who could mix in the slot. Obviously, Tony could be used all over. Obviously, Sky Moore, Richie James are slot guys. Rashid Rice, the value of him is he can be used inside and outside. But Hopkins also could start to transition his career into a big slot, just because he's probably losing a step. But as we see, he's not losing his ability to catch the ball. I mean, his first game back last year, he had 14 catches or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of moves. Kansas City they've never just truly had one guy outside. They're the guys they utilize. Juju last year, Hardman, Tyreek Hill, they move them around. So, obviously that could change with the change of offense coordinator and all that. So we'll have to see. But I just wouldn't be surprised if we see Hopkins really dominate that role. And there's just a lot of guys there. I like Rice, but I just think it's starting to get to a point where,
I'm just curious where he ended up going. He went at pick 140. So he did go 14, 12 picks, or give or take, past his ADP. Yeah. People are concerned and he's falling. So, if you want to speculate that it won't be a concern, you can get value on him. If you are concerned, you don't take him. I think you can make a case for either way. We are on the clock. I would grab the one running back that we still had queued up, which is right exactly at his ADP, and Tank Bigsby. Yep. Who is obviously, they don't want to use ETN, it's clear, as the workhorse. And so he's still going to get a role even if ETN, doesn't get injured, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully. I mean, obviously he has to beat out Dearness Johnson, but.
Right. Okay. So with 8 picks away, we have 2, 4, 6, 1. What is probably going to be our ultimate build is 2, 5, or could be 9, 2. Did I do the math right on that?
Yeah. I mean, you might want to do more 2, 6, 8, 2. 9. You don't typically see a lot of value for the 9th and 10th receiver builds, particularly when you spent so much for early receivers like Garrett Wilson and Mike Williams.
They just did the breakdown of who made the BBM finals and the different builds, and I can't remember the 8 versus 9 receivers, what that broke out to be.
Yeah. I mean, it can work, but it's usually for people who took the first receiver in the 4th round, and then it's hammering receivers in the mid rounds. So it's just getting the 9th receiver in the 18th round isn't going to likely play a lot.
I think at 161 for correlation, you're getting it right around Gerald Everett's ADP. Typically, I go Laporta in this area, but for correlation, I like Everett.
Tight ends are falling, so you could maybe wait. I mean, it's not a big deal. Like, again, what's correlation matter if he's not playing? You know.
Well, yeah, I understand. Well, you might have to play the flex sometimes. I don't like other players. I don't like any of this. And I've drafted a ton of Ezekiel. I do think it's fine to speculate on.
I think Jerome Ford would make a lot of sense.
It's a massive reach.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not gonna get him coming back. So.
But we already have Ford. Yes, I queued up Ezekiel Elliott and Jerome Ford, and then I queued up Rashid Shaheed. Those are literally that are the only ones I like in this area, as far as running backs and receivers. Tight ends, I love Laporta. Everett just went. We have two Dallas. I don't force week 17, but we have two Dallas guys, and we don't have any Detroit guys. I think this is a great time to take. I do have a Sam Laporta problem, but I think this is a time where you take week 17 as like a tiebreaker, or when it makes sense for correlation of just you like him better than the guys on the board. We have two Dallas receivers, so I'm going to take Sam Laporta and get the week 17 correlation. I think that's a game that could shoot out. And again, it's targeting a top offense that we weren't able to get access to. Again, we talked through top offenses to target in another episode. Check that out. We have accomplished that, I think, very well by targeting the Chargers, the Jets, the Ravens, Jacksonville, Dallas, and the Chiefs, and now Detroit. I take it just for that, but then it's even a bonus that they play week 17, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Laporta has big time upside. So,
yeah, I love Laporta. I've been taking a ton of them. Obviously, no bye week conflict. So we have our two tight ends, we have our two quarterbacks now. For the remaining four picks, we can just focus on running back and receiver. Let me ask you this while we have a little break. Do you have any problem? And for me, the answer is no, because again, we talked it through already. I was talking about getting Rice. We already had Kelsey. We didn't have Mahomes. We took Brandon Cooks. We took Gallup a couple picks, several picks later, but we took Gallup as well. Do you have a problem taking two receivers from the same team without the quarterback? I say no, because again, you're just targeting that team. You don't have the quarterback, but you're targeting that team because you like that offense. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean,
speak to that a little bit about in regards to the Cowboys.
No, not at all. Like having two of the three Bengals receivers last year, having, Christian Kirk and Zay Jones last year, even if you didn't have Lawrence or Burrow in the Bengals example, it was going to be very profitable for you. So, the idea to avoid good offenses. Now, I wouldn't take it from teams that aren't going to throw the ball a ton,
right?
Even
right.
teams that are likely marginal in that department.
But like for teams like Kansas City that we thought about and Dallas, these are teams that throw a lot, that are top offenses year after year. I don't think there's anything wrong with having multiple receivers without the quarterback. In fact, I like just stacking good teams. Anywhere from 2 to 4 total players, but I just like stacking good teams, and so I'm really excited about Dallas and a little Dallas-Detroit correlation. That's probably one of my favorite Week 17 games. I know people love, obviously, Chiefs Bengals, but that could be a really, really good one. Is it in Detroit or in Dallas? Doesn't matter. It's indoors.
But I say Detroit, but I don't know.
All right. So obviously, if Jerome Ford's there, we're going to take him. Who else did you want to take? I love Kenneth Gainwell. I like Gus Edwards. Did we take
Edwards? But we have
we did Dobbins. Take Dobbins. Okay, wait. I'm on the clock, so we can get Ford. Never mind. Let me grab him. Okay. Let me get rid of him. Okay, so we're 8 picks away, and again, we have 2, 5, 6, 2. I'll leave Kenneth Gainwell, queued. I don't know if you want to queue any other running backs in case you wanted to do 6. But then I'd like to start queuing receivers.
Yeah, I'd look at receivers here.
I've gotten more on board with the whole Tyquan Thornton. Um, you know, do you think he could be kind of, I guess, wide receiver 2 with Juju as wide receiver 1 in New England?
Yeah, I mean, he still has to contend with Devontae Parker, who, even last year in the misery that the Patriots offense was, Parker had multiple usable games. So, if he can reclaim that number one, that X role, it's probably the number 2 on the team, but the X role for them, Parker might still be ahead of Thornton, but I don't mind Thornton. He's speculative. I do think there are some other receivers in this range that are solid. If you go to the
Yeah.
receivers, honestly, I like Darius Slayton more than Isaiah Hodgins. I don't get people's fascination with Hodgins. I think Slayton is pretty much the only receiver on that team built to be an X receiver, and sure, that's not his ideal, but he's big and he's fast. He can run all the routes. Hodgins is fine, but Slayton led the team in targets, led the team in yards. Wasn't even active the first week of the year. Didn't start to like week 5. So, sure, there's more competition there, but I actually think Slayton has the higher upside. He just didn't get the touchdowns. Hodgins got more touchdowns, but that's so fluky, and as we know. And Slayton is the deep ball guy. So, as we know, deep ball targets are far more valuable in fantasy, especially when you're talking underdog best ball.
Yeah. Shakir just went in the receiver position. Thornton just went. I was going to target him. I don't agree. I don't.
I think you just take your guy. I like Slayton. I mean, that's my guy, but.
Yeah, well, what I was hoping to do, I'm just gonna say, was take Thornton, and you could have gotten Slayton.
Yeah, but we could do that same principle and take Slayton and take Devontae Parker.
I don't like Devontae Parker. Okay. Don't always have to agree. That's okay.
I mean, Thornton was gone. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I probably would have taken Hodgins, but then you wouldn't have taken Hodgins and Slayton. I don't love the Giants offense. It's a crowded room.
Yeah.
I would take maybe 1 per draft. I wouldn't load up on. That's not a room that I'm loading up on 2 without Daniel Jones. So, yeah, I just it's a crowded room that I don't honestly know what to do with yet. I get pieces. So far, I have some Hodgins, some Slayton. I think that's it. I don't really have much of the rookie or Wandell or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, Hyatt and Wandell are going way too high.
Yeah, I would agree. There. Okay, 11 picks away. Let's take a look at our team. Herbert, Rodgers, Ramondre, J.K. Dobbins, A.J. Dillon, Tank Bigsby, Jerome Ford, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Brandon Cooks, Rashad Bateman, Michael Gallup, Alec Pierce, Darius Slayton, Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta. And our pick numbers that are left are pick 200 and pick 209. So I have Tim Patrick queued up. I agree with you now looking at it that I think maybe like a 2-6-8-2 may be the better option, just because I love our first 2 running backs, but because it was more like a hero build and not like a double hero build, I like Dobbins and Dillon, but Tank Bigsby and Jerome Ford, that's a little. I think just getting a little more volume doesn't hurt. I mean, Fournette's got to find that home, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you just don't know. I think there's a lot of guys still. I would speculate better being the number 2. Obviously, Gus Edwards. I mean, honestly, this is where you could just say, I'd rather have the Ravens.
The Ravens room.
That value you're getting. Locking that down.
Yeah, I mean, you're locking down the Ravens backfield, which isn't. No, I don't think that's a bad thing. Anybody else that you want to queue up? Gus Edwards just went.
Zach Evans. You can obviously speculate on if Dalvin Cook leaves, Ty Chandler. You could take handcuff guys like Joshua Kelly.
Oh
on
God,
the
these feel like
Chargers.
absolutely unusable picks. I did this routine last year, and it just didn't work out for me very well with guys
Yeah,
like.
but I mean
Okay,
that's what we have
well,
it.
I'm on the clock, and it's I'm going to go with Leonard Fournette because I think he's going to find a home, and I like him better than a lot of these other much more. You're speculating that Leonard Fournette's going to play football and find a home and have a role. These other
Yeah,
guys, you're speculating third, guys on a team or guys leaving or, guys trying to carve out a role as like the third guy. I'm just not comfortable with that. And, on my count, I'm going to, kind of say that I want to have the veto power there to since this is my team. Though of course, if we win the top prize, absolutely we'll be splitting it with you. But I'm happy with taking Fournette as the sixth pick, pick 200. Again, falling a little past his ADP.
yeah. So what receiver are you looking at?
Yep. Tim Patrick was a late round guy that I typically love. He just went. Cue up some ones that you like. Corey Davis, I know you like, and I 100% agree.
Yeah,
Just
that would
Hayden
be the
Winks.
fourth week 7, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, but this is our last guy. I mean, let's see.
Yeah.
How many non-week 7s? Let's take a look. We have 4 picks to figure this out. Non-week
Luckily,
7. Go ahead.
Luckily, we don't have running backs at that role unless obviously Fournette would land.
Right, because then they could fill in the flex. So non-week 7, we have 1, 2, 3.
4.
I mean, yeah, I meant good ones. Yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you're right. Okay. I mean, I know you're not as high on him, but I like Allen Robinson. Do you like any of the Arizona situation with Hopkins leaving? Just let's talk this through quickly. 1 pick left.
I don't know. I don't really love Michael Wilson. I mean, obviously he's the only guy with size there, but I don't know.
All right, we're on the clock. Let's go Corey Davis. We love Corey Davis. I mean, well, that's only our second Jets receiver, correct? We don't have.
Yeah.
Okay. And we got Aaron Rodgers. So, we're, having double correlating with Aaron Rodgers with Corey Davis. Yeah, we have a lot of week 7 receiver buys, but we don't have any week 7, depending on where Fournette goes, running back buys. So hopefully right. And so hopefully, obviously, the flex is filled by running back or tight end. And we just need 3 of these 4 guys to come through for us on week 7. So, not the worst situation, I don't think. Right?
Yeah, no. And honestly, it's guys like speculating on Michael Wilson, like speculating on Matt Collins, maybe the number 2 in Atlanta, maybe Josh Reynolds or Cleve Raymond in Detroit, particularly those first 6 weeks. But that obviously wouldn't get us through the bye. It's Allen Robinson. There have been some camp reports. I mean, obviously it's early that Calvin Austin's looking really good. So
really?
Yeah. So
I do like. Oh, geez, who did you just say before Allen Robinson? There was something you just said before Allen Robinson, but I lost it. Okay.
Matt Collins or Josh Reynolds or Cleve.
Josh Reynolds, thank you. I will say that I do like. Who do they think could really be filling in until Jameson Williams? Do they think more Josh Reynolds, right?
I think Josh Reynolds is the most likely because he's the deep threat.
Yeah, that would have been one actually to target. That would have been the only other one. I get what you're saying. It wouldn't have gotten you through the bye because James Williams comes back week 7, but I still think it could have been a functional pick. That would have been one, in hindsight to target, but then you would have had another Lions piece, which again, 17 correlation Dallas Lions, but also just love the Lions this year. Okay, so we're waiting for this last draft of pick to finish up, and then we'll just talk it through and be on our way with another good draft. I know we didn't agree on every pick. That's why it's called Sibling Showdown. We're not going to agree on every pick, but I still think we ended up with a really good team. So, okay, it looked like closeout. So do I go? it's just hung there. So
Just refresh. That should do it.
okay. Yep. Okay, puppy 2. This is my first puppy 2. So we got
You can
again.
view the whole draft. That should come up a little bigger.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so again, we got 2, 6, 8, 2, Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, Ramondre Stevenson, J.K. Dobbins, A.J. Dillon, Tank Bigsby, Jerome Ford, Leonard Fournette, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Brandon Cooks, Rashad Bateman, Michael Gallup, Alec Pierce, Darius Slayton, Corey Davis, Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta. Again, we stacked up, obviously, Herbert and Williams. We tried for Everett. That got sniped, and then we stacked up Rodgers with both Garrett Wilson and Corey Davis, who we like as a last-round pick. We felt like we could go to quarterbacks and 2 tight ends because of kind of the hero situation of having Herbert and Rodgers, and then having obviously Travis Kelce. We did get some week 17 correlation with the game I really like in Dallas, Detroit. And most importantly, as we talked through the show, we targeted good offenses in, the Chargers and Jets and Ravens and Dallas and Detroit and Kansas City. So that's kind of my take on it as a whole. And I'm very happy overall. How would you summarize it?
Yeah, no, I like it a lot as well. I think, Chargers and Jets are 2 very strong passing offenses. Obviously, we only got one piece with Herbert, but that's fine. No need to reach for guys like Josh Palmer late or anything like that. And I just love having 2 quarterbacks who should consistently put up 20 plus fantasy points, can put up 30 plus multiple times. So yeah, I mean, I think that's fantastic in the best way to combat the Mahomes and Hurts and Allen lineups. As for running back, it's Ramondre is the guy, and
it was a hero running back build, but I like it.
Yeah, I mean, Dobbins and Dillon, I think we're mainly going to rely on those guys. Bigsby could be more of a contingent value play. Same with Jerome Ford, and obviously same with Fournette. But it's 3 guys who, maybe could fill in. The buys are different. Still waiting on Ford, of course, but that means we'd at least have 5 running backs viable or at least 4 running backs any given week, potentially 5. So, just a guy falling in for a touchdown as in number 2 role like Bigsby or Ford could be enough for him to just fill in for some bye weeks. So, I like that. And then the receivers, Wilson, Williams, both Dallas guys filling in that role. I really like Bateman a lot.
I like that we've got both Bateman and Dobbins. Sometimes I like just getting like a piece of the running and passing game of offense that you're bullish on,
Yeah, and with Todd Monk, and that offense could really peak this year. So
absolutely, you don't have to have Dak or Lamar to get pieces. I like that we stacked up multiple offenses. Go ahead.
Yeah, and Alec Pierce can be a spike week guy. Slayton can be a spike week guy. Corey Davis could definitely be a spike week guy. Whether it's a week that Garrett Wilson doesn't do well, or maybe sometimes, he could still play in the flex if Rodgers is going out throwing 350 and 4 touchdowns. So,
right.
Yeah. And getting Kelce was just so far ahead of the field at tight end last year. He didn't have the best playoff weeks in terms of best ball, but who knows? That's not predictable. You can't judge on that. Like, Kelce's the best tight end in the league, no question. Like the gap is massive. And Sam Laporta goes to a great offense and could absolutely have a few spike weeks of his own. So
yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm happy with it. What's the top prize in the puppy 2, Steve?
Oh
no, is it 150? 150. 150K, I believe. Yeah, I believe it's 150. So I win 150,000 with this draft that we did live on stream. I will split it with you. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. For you guys watching, thank you so much for joining us. Again, if you're new to Underdog, use code FANSPEAK for 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Like and subscribe. tons of shows coming this summer, tons of articles on fanspeak.com. So check it all out. We're covering best ball all summer long, and we can't wait. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.